What is the inner child? How do I heal it? And is it worth spending time and energy on? Number one, what is the inner child? Put simply, it's you as a child. Specifically, all of the memories and decisions that you made as a child and how they carry over into your adult life. As children, we have like little to no understanding of how the world works, especially society, because our society today is so bad shit crazy. We are taught things in society that are counterintuitive to what naturally we do as human beings. For instance, in nature, if something were to attack me and my family, part of my nature would be to kill that thing, ultimately disabling it from ever hurting me or my family. That's a natural thing. But in society, I could go to jail for that, especially if I'm in the wrong state. The laws and social norms of men do not actually reflect nature. They do to some degree, but there are some things that are just totally opposite of the natural world. Thing number two, how do I heal the inner child? Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to change heal to healing. You're never gonna be done healing your inner child. That's why I like the word healing, because it's an active process and it's alive. The trauma that you incurred as a child is going to surface in your adult life. When the ghost of your past reemerges in your adult life, you can either treat it like the Dursleys treated Harry Potter, or you can welcome that child into a space that you've created as an adult in order to work through some of those challenging things. Let's say growing up, you didn't get a lot of love and attention from your dad. One of the very common decisions that children will make is assume that they are the problem. I must not be good enough. I must not be worthy. That's why my father doesn't show me affection. This might cause this person to grow up being very dependent on validation from male figures in their life. And every time they fail to meet the projection of the male figures in their life, there's this inner child meltdown. And it's exactly here where you get to break the cycle. Because like I said, you can either treat it like a nuisance and a burden, or you can treat it as an opportunity to connect deeper with your life experience. Now, there's no way to erase what happened to you. That's not what healing your inner child is about. It's about changing the story and decisions you make as a result of what happened to you. In another way of putting it, it is not the wind that determines the direction of your boat, it's the way you set up your sails. Healing your inner child is effectively changing the way you set up your sails so that you can get to where you intend to go rather than the place that you're used to going, which is usually a kind of sucky place. Question number 3, is it worth investing time and energy into? Yeah. Also, you're the only person that can do it. Even if you pay a therapist or a healer to come help you, you still have to do all of the work. That being said, inner child work is some of the most satisfying and wholesome work that I've ever done in my entire life. And I'm someone that grew up in a pretty solid household. Both my parents were there, they both loved me, and I still did a lot of inner child work and continue to do it as a 31-year-old man. In closing, I just want to leave you with this. You are not less than because you have trauma. You will not be more than when you transmute and engage in healing with your trauma. There is simply your experience and the amount of compassion and acceptance that you infuse with that experience. Whether it's inner child healing, working on self-worth, healing generational trauma, it's all the same thing. You had an experience, you started telling yourself a story about it, and at any point in time, you have the opportunity to change the story that you're telling so that it's more empowering and less debilitating. If you'd like to start this process of working with your inner child, but you have no idea where to start, this is my go-to. This is human design. This image over here is called the body graph. Each of these gates here, it represents an expression of the human experience, and based on your birth time, you're going to have a unique combination. Effectively, your body graph is going to show you your nature, or the imprint that you were given at the time of your birth. Because many of the people who raised us were ignorant of this stuff, they unknowingly moved us in directions that were possibly against our nature. For instance, maybe you're the generator type. Maybe you're designed to wait and response. But your father is a manifester type. He's a go after it, get it, initiate, and make it happen kind of guy. Just with that one little snippet of information, I can anticipate that a lot of my inner child healing work is going to have to do with deprogramming that part of myself that thinks I'm supposed to do it like my dad does it. Human design effectively is a map and a compass that will lead you back to your original self, your natural self. It does this by letting us know which gates or which expressions of life are going to be consistent for us and which ones are going to be inconsistent. Human design is an incredibly complex system. People are easily overwhelmed because of the sheer amount of information that this has. Learning how to decode this information for yourself can literally take you years. And so if you want information about yourself, but you don't know how to read this, check out this report right here. It's going to literally explain all of this stuff as well as all of these gates and these centers. Now, I got people in my DMs pretty much every day that are telling me how much my work with human design has changed their life. This, similar to the inner child healing, is not something that you're just going to figure out overnight. The minimum length for an effective human design or inner child healing experiment is 18 months. That's right, a year and a half. If you're not willing to explore your inner child healing process or human design for at least a year and a half, maybe wait until you are ready to commit to something like that. On the other hand, if you do want to begin this work now, start with getting your body graph and master these two things: strategy and authority. Your strategy is going to teach you how to use your aura or your electromagnetic field the best, and your inner authority is going to help you make decisions that are good for you. That way you don't end up a slave to some external authority, mom and dad, government, boyfriend, girlfriend, etc. I won't sugarcoat it, this shit is hard as fuck. You will be challenged, but that's the beauty of life, is to grow beyond the state that you are now. It's not about what you get, it's about who you become. And with the amount of resources that we have in 2024, guys, there is literally no excuse to not be doing this work and doing it well. It has never been more socially acceptable. There have never been this many resources for people's mental and emotional health. There have never been this many facilitators or people to hold space for this work than there are right now. And no shame if it's not time for you to begin the work. Again, you're just going to have to deal with the consequences of having your inner child blow up, take control of your life, ultimately sabotaging what you're doing as an adult because you're putting the work off. So yeah, no shame, but there are consequences.